Everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new deck tech video. This deck tech video is brought to you by G2A. I just came back from DreamHack Sweden, DreamHack Summer, and there was one deck that caught my attention and it was Hawkeye's Shaman deck. Hawkeye went 7-0 in the Swiss rounds and he was one of the two players that brought Shaman. I think there were only two players in total that brought Shaman, and he did really well with it. And many people consider Shaman the worst class right now. So yeah, I couldn't wait to test this deck myself, and I think it is a very good deck. I was very surprised that he was winning against Patron Warrior with it, because I think it is weak against it because it has just one Lightning Storm. It should also be weak to Zoo and many other decks just because it's Shaman. But yeah, I think it is the closest to a good standard Shaman list that you can go or get, and I really like it, and I'm looking forward to playing this deck myself. Let's talk about the deck list. It has double Earthshock. The thing about Earthshock is a lot of people try to cut this card just because, oh man, they're like cutting grass outside. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. Alright, double Earthshock. I think it's a core card against Handlock, especially in Zoo. It's very effective against those decks. The thing is that usually Earthshock doesn't kill something, so you have to invest another card, and that's just the problem with Shaman, that you have to use multiple cards to remove a threat. There's very few exceptions, like you can kill an Nerubian Egg with spell power, or a Haunted Creeper, Mad Scientist with spell power, or you kill a Twilight Drake with it. So that's like the dream if you kill a Twilight Drake with an Earthshock. But most of the decks that are playing right now, like Patron Warrior or Druids, Hunters and all that stuff, you can't really get, or Rogues, you can't really get much value out of the Earthshock, even if you invest multiple cards. And yeah, so but since Hybrid Hunter and Handlock are so popular, you still kind of need the Earthshock. It's like you really need the silence effect, so it is not one of the strongest cards. I see cutting them, but since aggro decks, also like Flamewaker Mage is kind of popular, and I guess Paladin is also not so bad, so there's a reason to play double Earthshock, even though it kind of feels somewhat weak at times. Double Rockbiter, it is the best removal card. It's like the only removal card Shaman has that can't be cut, in my opinion. Like, you have lightning bolts and crackles and all that stuff. Sometimes you play one or two, or you just play one crackle or one lightning bolt, or none of them. But Rockbiter is the card you never cut from standard Shaman, just because it is so good. It has such a good synergy with any small minion, any totem, with anything on the board to just remove bigger threats. It also has like synergy with the Power Mace. This deck doesn't play any weapons just because Harrison Jones is like very popular right now because of Patron Warrior especially. Yeah, but Shaman usually doesn't need that. That's why you can afford to not play Healbot in this deck. Like, the way how I build this deck makes like a lot of sense. As soon as you add Power Mace in your deck, you use your life as a resource, and then you're much weaker against decks like Hunter, for example. If you do, so you need to compensate and play with Healbot just to not die to direct damage. Yeah, Rockbiter can be used with Zombie Chow to kill a bigger threat, or with something else. This is like very good. Also, the MVPs like the Alakir Rockbiter combo, you just, yeah, get a ridiculous amount of burst damage to finish off your opponent. It's like a win condition. One Zombie Chow, I used to play the double Zombie Chow because it's very good in Shaman, especially because you have the Flame Tongue Totem and the Rockbiters, and you really want to do something. You want to get board control as early as possible, and Zombie Chow is like the best one drop and the only one drop that Shaman usually plays or can play. And yeah, the only downside is that you heal your opponent. Right now Zombie Chow is not that strong just because, yeah, Patron Warrior is so popular and it basically doesn't really achieve anything because it will eventually heal your opponent, and it's also feeding patrons. But nonetheless, like you should still play one. Like if you draw it turn 1 and you go first, you can really snowball from there. So you really wanna play at least one to get that. Also because we play double Argus, and later on it is very cheap to just play the 1 mana zombie chow at some point when you have like 6 mana or whatever, and you have something on board to just slam the zombie chow in addition, so you get always the full Argus value. So it has its uses. Flametongue Totem is a very strong card. Obviously, this is how Shaman gets like the value back. Since you have to usually invest multiple cards to remove single cards as Shaman, Flametongue Totem uses like very bad cards or weaker cards, totems and Haunted Creepers and Spiders and so forth, to kill bigger minions. So let's say you have Haunted Creeper, Spiderlings on board and totems. You can play Flametongue Totem and kill a Mountain Giant just because you attack with like a Searing Totem and 2 spiders, whatever. So this is like one of the biggest strengths of Shaman, the Flametongue Totem, that you can... this is like the synergy with the totems and the smaller minions, that you have those efficient traits once you have established board control. This is why board control is so important. This is why you have to play cards like Zombie Chow and Haunted Creeper and Shaman. You need the early game board control. And the Nerubian Egg is like very interesting. You didn't play it like 2 months ago, 1 month ago, just because you didn't really need it. It was too slow. Haunted Creeper was a better card. You went for more late game, and it was fine. In obviously Mech Shaman you don't play cards like that, you just go for the Mech 2-drops. But right now Nerubian X is a very good card, just because it doesn't feed patrons, which is very important. It protects your bot from AoE, which is very good, like Blade Fury or Holy Nova, whatever, Consecration. And yeah, that it doesn't feed patrons is the most important part, and that you can use Rock Bite on a Nerubian Egg instead of your life, and instead of using your life total and trade something in, and get the 4/4. It's like very good against Druid as well, and this is like one of the go-to classes you have to beat. You basically have to beat everything, and Shaman feels kind of underpowered against everything, and Nerubian Egg as a card, if you get the value out of it, is extremely high value. If you get a 4/4 and you get like a trade before that with the buffed Nerubian Egg. That's why Zoo is so strong, for example. You have all those efficient trades with smaller minions. Once Feral Spirit, taunts are good against all face decks. You don't play Sludge Belchers, you have the Argus, you have like 1 additional taunt. I used to like Annoyatron. Hawkeye decided to play 1 Feral Spirit. I see this point, mainly to protect the Mana Tide Totem. When you play Mana Tide Totem, you want to protect it, like you play first taunts. It's reasonable to play 1 Annoyatron. Feral Spirit is like, I like Feral Spirit more in late game. I really don't like to play it like on turn 3, because almost every class can deal with it easily right now with weapons and stuff, and your turn 4 play will most of the time just be a totem. So but I like it later on because it's 2 taunts. It's like an Argus sort of when you look at it, and yeah, it's not too bad. Double Hex, best hard removal in the game, nothing to say there. 1 Lightning Storm. In mid-range Shaman you actually tend to just play 1 Lightning Storm. I was thinking about if double Lightning Storm is core, just because of the high popularity of Demon Locks and Patron Warriors, but Lightning Storm doesn't really do too much against Patrons. You need a Spell Power Totem, and usually when they play the Boston Commander plus Patron, you will not have Spell Power Totem left, so you kind of have to go for the 25% roll, which will never happen, so you kind of have to rely on the Azure Drake Lightning Storm. But yeah, in many matchups Lightning Storm is unfortunately a dead card, like against Control Warrior or Handlock, whatever. But 1 Lightning Storm is always nice. You rather want to have like additional tech cards like BGH or Harrison in Shaman right now. And yeah, this is the next card in the list, BGH. BGH is very good because Dr. Boom is like a staple card, and Shaman doesn't really want to hex it. Hex is not a really good answer for Dr. Boom. With BGH you at least develop the board with something, and almost every deck has like a BGH target, doesn't matter which one. just because of the popularity of Dr. Boom mainly. So BGH kind of became a staple card in Shaman. So you can use Hex aggressively for like a tempo Hex, that's what you call it, like to Hex a Sludge Belcher, so you get board controller. Which is fine when you play like a BGH, but you still need like the removal for bigger minions, so that's why you play like an additional removal. Mana Tide for drawing cards, what to say there. It's a very good card draw mechanism, but you want to protect it, that's why you also play the Feral Spirits and the double Argus. Dark Iron Dwarf, usually when you play Nerubian Egg, you want to have at least 4 enablers in your deck. In this deck you have the Rock Biters, the Flame Tongue Totems, the double Argus, and the Dark Iron Dwarf, and I completely agree with that. It's very good. You can also in Shaman especially, Dark Iron Dwarf is not a bad card because you will most of the time have something on board, and if you play it on tempo, let's say you have a Haunted Creeper into coin Dark Iron Dwarf, you can kill like a whatever, any free drop or something. It's very good to just maintain and gain board control. Double Argus is very good in Shaman just because you can taunt up totems, make them useful. And taunts are good against aggro decks. Palette Shredder, the highest value 4-drop in the game. It's very good. It can sometimes auto-win your games if you get like a Succubus, whatever. It's Millhouse Mana Storm. Sometimes you get like a very small bad minion like a 1-1, but it's rarely the case. Harrison is very good right now because there's a lot of face paladins in general, hunters, and patron warriors. And against patron warrior, Harrison is one of the most important cards just to kill the Death Spite. Fire Elemental is just pretty core in any Shaman deck. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Shaman deck without Fire Elementals. You don't play them in Malygos Shaman, but But besides that, yeah, Fire Elemental is like way too good as a tempo 6-drop. Savannas, it's yeah, another card just to be very strong against control decks. You have the Hex, you have the BGH, you have the Earth Shocks. Harrisons, it's a very good deck. You need all those cards to be very strong against control. Savannas is like another card you don't expect from Shaman, like you will be very surprised and you will not be playing around, and a lot of people just waste the silences against Shaman, against totems and stuff, just because they have no other efficient play and just because there's no target to silence in Shaman usually, and then Savannas comes like a surprise. Dr. Boom is just broken, what to say there. It's the only BGH target, but even if it gets BGH'd, it's still too strong because the boom bots can kill like 2 minions, and if they don't have the BGH, it's most of the time just an auto win. I like here just a very good late game card. It's another taunt, very important. It's very good for trading and killing stuff on the board, and it's like a win condition. You can just deal an insane amount of face damage. So this is the Shaman deck. I'm very excited about this list, and I'm also going to show you some games.